In the movie, some of the people that you interviewed came up with two sources of big money that has been devoted to attack the vaping devices. Where were those sources of money?
Well, I can think of a lot of different sources, but the main one, in my opinion, in our investigation, was from big pharmaceutical companies that make they. There's a variety of reasons why that might be. They make these nicotine gums and patches. Some of the largest companies on the planet make those devices or make those nicotine patches and gums. They also make the cancer medicines as well as all the other things, emphysema medicines, asthma inhalers. They make it all. And so everywhere you look at somebody who's fighting this massive revolution of getting people off smoking, everywhere you look, and they go to town halls and village halls like this all over the country, and they speak to folks like yourself and explain to them the dangers of all this. They usually use children, and they usually use scare tactics that are not based in science. Everywhere you look, those organizations are getting funding from the pharmaceutical companies, almost across the board. There is almost no, I would say, in my entire 2 years of dealing with this situation, never have I seen an organization against these devices that isn't getting funding from the big pharmaceutical companies. So in my opinion, that's the number one source of funding against this situation, and it leads to huge conflicts of interest. And when you say, well, this doesn't make sense, you keep asking yourself that, well, this doesn't make sense. That's how you know that not only is it a conflict of interest, but there's actually corruption going on. And government funding would be the other major source of this sort of thing. And those groups are also the FDA. The department that made these rules that we're all discussing here was literally being led by a former lobbyist for the organization that makes the nicotine gums. Makes no sense. This is total corruption in my mind. And then the head of the FDA, who is on top of that department, she was sued for racketeering and corruption because her husband was running a hedge fund that owned stock in a big pharmaceutical company, and it's just shocking how this is happening. And so those are two major sources. I mean, obviously, early on, the tobacco companies were also lobbying behind the scenes for more taxes on these things, as well as a variety of other things. I'm not seeing as much of that anymore now that they're in the industry, but certainly I would say pharmaceutical companies and the government who have corrupted leadership are the main source of funding for fighting this.